Still here?
The files needed sorting. I thought everyone had gone for the weekend. Ruth can be so sloppy sometimes. Nowhere to go on a Friday night, Dr. Hassan?
I was catching up on paperwork.
Don't let me keep you.
Is everything okay?
Headache.
Well, then go home.
I'm busy. I don't want to go home.
You've been on edge all week.
I'm sick of people fussing, that's all. Follow M. Follow P. Man 2 shouted at me to scream, but I wouldn't.
Why not?
I wouldn't give him the satisfaction. I don't know who I am anymore. Don't observe me. I hate it when you observe me.
It's all right.
It's not all right. How can it be all right? They're inside my head.
Who are?
Those boys. In my house. In the court.
You've been having nightmares?
Asleep, awake. What does it matter?
Classic symptoms of post-rape trauma.
Oh, I'm relieved to know that I'm fitting into some sort of pattern.
And the way you're responding to what happened is compounding your ordeal.
I should be sharing, unburdening.
Well, clearly you can't go on like this.
Ever since it happened, I've been waiting for some sort of release. Every moment, every step. The arrests, the trial, the verdict, the sentencing. I just prayed there would be an end to it. I told Dr. Clay because I thought it would help.
And it didn't.
I wanted to tell somebody. I needed to tell somebody. And then the voices start. Oh.
I know you think counselling's a waste of time.
Back to the rape and start again. I want to forget what happened.
You're never going to forget what happened. You have to learn to live with it.
That's easy for you to say.
Vivian, you've got through the hard part.
This is the hard part. Endless days, sleepless nights, the fear of more of the same.
The people that did this to you are in prison. They can't hurt you anymore.
Oh, yes, they can. He's raped me 1,000 times. I can still feel the weight of his clumsiness. I can smell the sweat when he whispers in my ear. I hate him. And I hate his brother for not stopping him. And I hate myself for not moving on. They'll be out in 5 years. What about me? When will my pain end?
When you decide it's going to end.
12 steps to a perfect recovery.
Better than standing still, better than running the other way.
Are you really trying to help, or am I just some fascinating case study? I do not need healing.
Then tell me what you do need.
I shouldn't have bothered you.
Why would you be bothering me?
We both got work to finish.
Vivian, wait. You've been very brave.
So people keep telling me.
But you can't face this on your own. If you don't get help, you're going to have a breakdown. Let me help you, Vivian.
I can't.
Why? Why can't you?
I bared my soul in court and it nearly killed me.
We're not in court. We're here, just the two of us. Flashbacks, panic attacks. What's it going to take?
I'm dealing with this in my own way.
By not dealing with it.
Why do you always know best?
Common sense, Vivian. What does common sense say?
I have to suppress my feelings. Surely you understand the alternative's too painful.
Keep this bottled up and it'll gnaw away at you. It'll wipe you out. Talk to me. I think you want to.
I don't know what I want.
I will help you, I promise.
If you knew how it felt to be this frightened.
Try me.
At first, I didn't feel anything. It was like I was somewhere else. And even when it was happening, it felt like I was underwater. But I had to come up for air. And when I did, it was chaos. Everything's changed.
How has it changed?
I used to know who I was. I knew my place in life. They took that away from me. The build-up to the trial, it gave me false hope. I thought I was doing something. I was fighting back. No, I just dwell on things. I worry about things that I never worried about before. I'm terrified of strangers. I can't trust my friends. And every night when I go home, I check the house. I check the windows and the doors, and I'm constantly tired. I'm terrified to sleep. I'm 59 years old and I'm scared of the dark.
Vivian.
And don't tell me that that's all right. Don't tell me that that's normal, because it doesn't make it any better.
What would make it better?
A glimmer of light, a tiny glimmer of light.
Give it time.
I've given it 8 months, and I can still remember it like it was yesterday. I've done everything that I've been told to do. I've accepted that it happened.
Have you?
I've re-established my routine. It's what gets me through the day. And I've started sharing my day with your ridiculous diary.
You haven't given it a chance.
Oh, if I wrote down everything, we'd run out of paper.
I'd buy you more paper.
Don't be sanctimonious.
You won't get better by pretending you're okay.
I know that. So don't sit there and tell me that I'm not trying. I am trying as hard as I can. But the chaos still wins.
I do understand.
Have you ever been raped?
A lot of the women I talk to.
Have you ever been held down and raped? Then how can you understand?
You think you're alone? You think this has never happened to anyone else?
I could join a support group. Compare notes.
Sometimes that helps.
Well, it won't help me.
I see rape victims every week. I treat them, I clean them up, I struggle to reassure them.
You struggle?
I see women who've been gang raped by soldiers, mothers and their daughters, 13, 14.
I'm sure they suffered much more than I have.
They moved on. People move on when it's the only option they have left.
And how did Dr. Hassan cope? The concerned bystander. How did she cope with the chaos?
I suppose I put up barriers.
Stayed aloof. Stopped feeling.
It's easier.
It's the worst thing that can happen to anyone.
I'll make some tea.
I don't want any tea! I am tired of people making me tea. I didn't want to feel anything. I didn't want to look. That's why I lay there and I didn't move. Eventually, it was as if my body wasn't there at all. I started thinking about my mother. I thought about sitting beside her bed before she passed away. And I remembered when she was young and I was a child, and I remembered the holidays that we'd had by the sea.
Here comes a big one. Hold Mummy's hand. Ready?
I thought about happiness, innocence. I remembered a time when I had no fear.
Do you regret anything about your life, Miss March?
Yes, of course. Everyone has regrets.
Vivian March, will you do me the honour of becoming my wife?
Oh, pull up your skirt, Vivian, love. You're getting all wet. And jump.
No worries, no pain.
To my patients.
You didn't have an appointment.
I could have spared in 5 minutes.
Ruining everything for everybody else.
I'll book your precious system as and when I see the need.
If we spent time with every pensioner who popped in uninvited, we'd be here till midnight.
A little more warmth would not go amiss.
I stated under oath that I never resented my mother. But if I hadn't cared for her all those years, I wouldn't be alone in that house now. I would have moved on.
And the rape would have happened to someone else?
Not long before you came here, someone asked me to marry him. Someone I loved. I turned him down. About a month after it happened, I wrote to him. I told him everything. I thought that if he came back, he could protect me, care for me. And everything would be all right. I didn't post it.
Why not?
What would he be coming back to? Someone who couldn't bear to be touched. Soiled.
If he loves you, that isn't how he'd see you.
I couldn't burden him with that. I couldn't bear it.
Why didn't you marry him?
Oh, I knew he'd let me down in the end. I was frightened. Frightened of disappointment. I had no idea then what fear really was. But if I'd said yes if I'd got on with him. Then everything would have been all right. Everything would have been different.
Regrets are a waste of energy.
It's easier to look back when you have no future.
My mother was an alcoholic. Her way of coping. In her list of priorities, I came some way after her next drink. Most of the time, she was completely disinterested. At best, indifferent. Didn't want much. A word, a touch, little things. I stopped myself from crying. After a while, I wouldn't have been able to. I was arrested on my 14th birthday. I was in a gang. We robbed a newsagent's. He wouldn't let us into the shop because we were trouble. My mates lured him outside, and I ran in and grabbed whatever I could lay my hands on. I couldn't open the till, so I picked it up and threw it through the window. He tried to grab me as I ran away. I laughed in his face. I remember his face. Bewilderment. It's the faces you remember in the midst of chaos.
What happened to you?
Eventually, they sent me away. They paid me some attention. Foster care, decent school. Told me I was lucky.
You're a victim of circumstance.
I'll never be a victim. I took responsibility for myself when no one else would.
You made amends?
Maybe. Those boys were damaged, Vivian.
Don't you dare excuse what they did. Whatever happened to them does not excuse what they did.
You've demonized them. You've turned them into monsters. No wonder you're afraid.
They raped me!
You can't fight monsters. They're too powerful. You'll never win.
Oh, so what? I just give up.
What? Look at it. Look at it rationally. See them for what they really are. Two messed up adolescents who did a terrible thing. So they can't scare you if you choose not to be afraid.
I didn't choose any of this. I didn't choose to be afraid.
Do you want to end up like them? Damaged, empty?
I'm not listening. You're just another voice.
What happened to your arm, Vivian?
It's just a scratch.
Perhaps I should take a look.
Perhaps you should mind your own business.
So, when you refused Mantu's orders, what did he do?
He cut my arm with a knife.
Have you received sympathy and concern?
People have been very kind.
Because most of the time you were lonely and overlooked.
It's nice to know that people care about you.
Overlooked and ignored by life.
She shouldn't have come back to work so soon.
It beats staying at home, willing to get over.
Must be worse for an older woman. Maybe more like Vivian.
Doesn't even bear thinking about.
I'm on your side, you know that.
You're the only person who hasn't said they're sorry. You know the hardest thing to bear about this whole ordeal? Pity. People behaving differently towards me. It's not their fault. They're all trying to carry on as normal, but it's impossible. They're all sorry, well-meaning. Nurse Hallam, he makes a point of not being in the same room with me. Julia's guilt-ridden. And Dr. Hodgson, she's always leaving yoga leaflets out for me, and she forces Bracken into making me Christmas cards. And Dr. Clay. Dr. Clay worries so much that I worry about him. I should be grateful to you. You think I can get over it.
I know you can. You're strong.
I used to think so. But how can I with all this anger inside me?
At least you're feeling something.
I cut myself. I took a knife and I cut myself.
Can I take a look?
It isn't deep. It's not deep enough.
People self-harm as a way of managing emotional trauma.
I cut myself. I took a knife and I cut my own wrist.
And how did that make you feel?
Better. Made me feel better. In control. For a moment.
Is that where Ryan hurt you?
When Dr. Clay came round that morning, he asked me if I'd inflicted the wounds myself. It shocked me out of my daze. I wouldn't do that. I told him then about the rape. I put him straight.
Have you cut yourself before? Do you think you might do it again?
I hope not. This isn't me. This is why I'm frightened to go home.
You've taken a big step, telling someone.
An admission of failure.
I don't know about that. I want you to look at your arm, Vivian. There's no hiding from this. This isn't dealing with what happened. This isn't coping. No one expects you to forgive those boys. But you can pity them, look down on them, view them with contempt. You won't find that glimmer of light.
Unless I look for it.
Banish those monsters. Use that anger. Use that pride. Take back what they took from you.
And if I want to scream?
Scream! But on your own terms. Let it all out. And then move on.
Number 4. I'm sure.
Have I told you how lovely you look?
You can tell me again if you like.
You look lovely.
Ready?
If you ever feel the need to cut yourself again...
Thank you. I won't.
Vivian. No more chaos.
We'll see. You're a crafty woman.
Takes one to know one.
Right.
Are we expecting a visit from the long arm of the law?
Nothing to do with me. I came in from outside, and there she was.
You should have seen a doctor. See if I can get one.
No, I can't see a doctor.
Did the little girl say that I touched her?
Okay, buddy. That's it. You stay with me. Frank, call an ambulance.
Closing in on the culprit means driving a deal with their family. Diagnosis Murder concludes next on BBC1 Scotland.